Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. This is coming out of Matthew's 20:19, right? It says, all shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and to scorn and to crucify him. And the third day he shall rise again. And Jesus, going up to Jerusalem, took the 12 disciples apart in the way, and said unto them, Behold, we go up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man shall be betrayed unto the chief priests and unto the scribes, and they shall condemn him to death, and shall deliver him to the Gentiles to mock and to scorn, and to sacrifice him, to crucify him. And the third day shall rise again. He shall rise again. That's what Easter was based on, right? The other day I needed to get to an appointment on time. But intentionally I left late because I did not want to wait in traffic. I knew the pain that I would endure on the journey to opt to take the easier option. Jesus knew the pain that he would endure, and it involved a lot more than a traffic jam. Betrayal by his own disciple, embarrassment, torture, ridicule, mockery, and death. His bravery and faith in the divine plan are why we have a chance to bask in the glory in heaven. Prayer. You are an awesome and loving God, Abba Father. Your divine plan is the only saving grace for humanity. My faith, which I must admit has wavered and worn, shall be forever pledged to you, my Lord, my rock, my refuge. Give me the wisdom to resist evil temptations, and most importantly, remind me of the incredible sacrifice that you made by sending your only begotten Son to earth, knowing full well that he would go through tremendous persecution and pain so that we could live. I aim to live my Father and pledge my faithfulness, servitude to you now and forever. Amen.
A free Amazon box. Maybe you're giving them away. It's really easy.
I've said this before. I've thought to quit. I've thought to never do another video and things like that, according to how I'm conducting myself. How am I conducting myself in the relationships with others? You know, the ridicule or the things that are being said to me by people that's very close to me. You know, my significant other doesn't believe in me. She doesn't believe that I'm called, or I can't even call her my significant other anymore, I guess. But I'm gonna talk about that, because being called is something deep. It is. And to understand that you are called. How do I know I'm called? Right? How do I know I'm called? Number one, I'm not dead. I lived a very reckless life. But not only that, I was connected with God through my Father. Vance Lamont Pittman. So being that he stayed diligent and faithful to God, it put an ark of protection over me. Not only did it put an ark of protection over me, I think that it put a blessing on me, you know. And due to my dad, my father, my earthly father, because of his diligence and his longevity in following God the best he know how, it gave me a plan, right? Because it's an ongoing plan. Everybody picks up the baton and takes it to another destination, and there's going to be someone else waiting there. And then it says to be fruitful. Be fruitful, meaning being loving, kind, and everything. The fruit of the Spirit, the ultimate fruit of the Spirit is love. Because all the kindness and patience, all that falls into love. And then he said, then multiply. Sometimes people interpret that, be fruitful and multiply. Fruitful meaning have children and multiply, where he's not that discombobulated or he don't, rambling his words and it don't fit, right? No, he did it intentionally and said to be fruitful, then multiply. And multiply. Be fruitful and multiply. Why? Because you first learn love and then multiply in that love. Shift that love and multiply that way. That's why it says you will know a tree by its fruit. I'm my father's son. That means I had to come from a good tree, despite what people on the outside look at. See, God don't look at your mind because that's what everybody can see. Your actions come from your heart. The stuff that you do when you don't feel like doing it, when you physically can't do it, but you still do it. Those are the things that drive you, right? So when you have those type of things or that type of characteristic, despite now look at Paul, right? And that's crazy that I even mentioned that because my name is Pavel. My dad and my mother named me Pavel, right? My name derived from Yugoslavian descent. It's a name that comes from there, which is Russian or however, right? That name, because he wanted, to my understanding, my dad thought that it would mean Vance in Russian because my mother didn't want to give him a junior, so he thought that it'll be Vance in Russian. Well, it's called Paul. That's my name. So, Paul, if we look at Paul was Saul first. And his mission from, I will have to go back, but I'm thinking he was a member of the Roman Empire, right? A high general. So, and his mission was to basically everybody that's going against how they're doing things, which is Christianity and things like that, then to eliminate them. So that was his job and that was his mission. And he went forth with it because he stayed in the rules. That's what made him a high general, because he followed the rules well, And a lot of his life, it's just that now I don't think I was single-handedly killing Christians and things like that, but maybe the fact of me wavering, the fact that I would pray to God, but yet I'm still in the streets doing things and holding people accountable and giving, discipline how I seen fit or however, whatever. But I had my road to Damascus. I was in North Carolina, where there was no Richmond, there was no Virginia or, nobody there, so I was locked up in a 4-man cell and everything. And that's when he came to me, that's when he really stopped me in my road. Now, the crazy thing about it, I pursued chasing him. I did, and I ended up in Texas and things like that. But ultimately, I let a female presence interrupt what I was supposed to be doing with God. And the confusion of who to love, basically. Because when you love your wife, and your children and stuff like that, in society, they become the most important. They're the most important. So your wife, your love for her should override pretty much a lot of things. Well, once you really get into the word and you really get into it, there's no different loves. Like if you read a normal Bible, now you can go into Greek terminology and these 7 different loves and stuff like that. What I read from the Bible, that's not something God is teaching me. Love is love for everyone. There is no different information that I'm going to give my wife that I wouldn't give a bum on the street to help them to move forward, so my love for I would give my last to my wife and I would give my last to a bum on the street. Why? Because it's only my last. It's not God's last. His bank is never void. He don't write void checks, and things like that. So I will always have, now look at that mentality. That mentality comes from a person that's chosen. Because the only reason why I feel like that, because throughout my whole 46 years, I have want for nothing. The only thing that I really wanted, that I lacked, was a true relationship with a woman. Really into me and I'm really into her. But see, the thing is, being that I've been chosen, we can't have those type of relationships without God. See, that's the difference with being chosen. And see, the thing is, a lot of people feel like that I should have had a lot of repercussions to a lot of things that I've done, or I should have been a recipient of multiple years to certain things. It's only because, then listen now, me saying I'm chosen, it's other people stories that match mine. I'm not the only person that been out in these streets, man, toting that gun, doing a whole lot of stuff, man, and selling drugs and doing all that. Hey, listen, I'm not the only person out there, and he saved you too. Especially if you're 40 plus. Those streets were mean. Why? Because there was no cameras. There was no video footage. Look, the rule was you should kill a person versus letting them live, because a murder you can shake. Why? Because a dead person can't talk. Today's time, man, the dead person don't have to talk because it's caught on camera. So imagine, man, the lifestyle and the things we had to make it through. God did that. None of this spiritual, I'm sorry, man. I just can't. I can't buy it. You've been called. And if you want to think that it's some spiritual something that's keeping you, it's God. Jesus died for you. Yes, us gangsters, so we call ourselves. That's who he died for, and that's who he's calling. Why do he call people like us? Why? Because we were real steppers. Imagine if we stepped for God. We were real block movers. You feel what I'm saying? That's what God can use, because now you can block move for God. See what I'm saying? You can move for listen. It's not by coincidence that a lot of us are men. We're not men by mistake. So being that we're men on purpose, we got to lead by purpose. On purpose. That's what we have to do. And the things that he's installed in our nature, the ape mentality, the leader mentality, that really create motion. See, that's not by fault. It's a word called pre-verse, right? You have reverse, but see, pre-verse, meaning the beginning, right? Before. Then verse is motion, right? Because reverse means to go back to the beginning. Forward, fast forward, reverse, motion back to the beginning. Preverse, meaning to take from the beginning and move in a different direction. Now, what is the real definition of preverse? Meaning what God made good, we use for evil. So only thing that he's doing at this time is reversing what we preversed. We were meant for good. But because we did not realize the power that we really had, we realized it and used it for something different. See, some of us got caught up with the 48 laws of power. You know, what's the other one? Seduction, the art of seduction and things like that. And see, the thing is, what I notice about reading those type of books, the same principles are in the Bible. Except the principle that are used in the worldly's books is selfish gain. How to manipulate a person to do what you want them to do. Manipulation is when you get a person to do something and you're the only recipient of the rewards. That's being manipulated, right? To be persuaded is neutral. Whoever benefits in this, but to get you to go in a direction. Okay, so now, if we were meant for good and we're moving in the wrong direction, perverseness, then what God does is bring us back around. That's why he leave us alive, because there's a greater use. See, even when you feel like you at the top right now, right? You can stay at the top. Guess how? Switch now. All that power you're using, all that motion, all that energy to create the motion that you're doing, all of that type of stuff like that, give it to God. Because right now, we that don't use this correctly are cap out. What they say now, they capping. Yeah, we'll be capping like that. Because you're going to cap. But see, once you get on the course with God, there is no cap. Simple mathematics. If we think that heaven is above and God is right there, that means that the sky's not the limit. There's no cap. And to add to that mathematics, there's a such thing as heaven on earth. Because it's a mentality. It's in your heart. It means you have entered into a place where you worry no more. Why? Because you know someone else has it. It's the same security blanket that most people that have $1 million do. They feel like it's nothing that can stop. They don't worry about bills. All they have to worry about is them. And now, when you got divine order and you got a divine plan, you don't sit back and worry about you. Now you're starting to put into other people. That's your mission. And when we are called, you know when you're called. You know when you're supposed to die. You know when you're supposed to have a lot of time. You know when you were supposed to just been flat out and it's nothing else. Nobody should never deal with you. You know, and all of that. Like, we know when we're called. Now, we run from it, but you know when you're called. People can feel it. Your aura, even when you're down. Someone is staring at you with a smile. It's because they can see the light all over you. Ain't no fighting it. I don't want to fight it. You know. And I like evidently I love this woman more than the mission. It's Pandora Bridge. I worry because I don't want to lose it. Because one day it's going to be returned. It's going to be returned. Now, if it be returned and they're with me, who knows? You know, but at this point, I have to focus on the plan. I have to. I have to understand when I'm in a room and I don't relate, it's because I don't supposed to be in that room. If there's a circle that I'm dying to get in, and this is the thing, this is how I know that we do, you know, because they will say things, man, that has so much truth to it. They recognize when I'm trying to fit myself with people that don't want me to be around them. Or they're not conducive to the plan, or they're not following God at all. But yet I still want to be around them. They might be family, friends, females, you know, they got motion, you know. It's just that when it comes to that unequally yoked and you have a mission, man, your mission is God. And whenever it got to do with God, your mission has to do with others. Not with you. He's going to take care of you, you know. And I got to hear that calling. I got to move forward, man. Because another thing that happens when you are called and you drag your feet too long, you're gonna miss. It's because everything is a timeline. With God, everything is a timeline. Like I said, it's like a baton. So if we in a relay race, right? When it comes to this point right here at this line, when I'm running as fast as I can, right? When it comes to this line, I got to reach out to you, and you got to take it from there. Sometimes the mission is about 20 years long. Why do I say that? Because enough for your child to grow up and pass it to them. But now, think of this. A lot of the times, the reason why at 20 you passing it, you missing the mark. You dragging your feet too long. You took it a distance, but you still missing the mark. It took you 20 years to pass the baton. Think of that. So, when you arrive to this point, it has to be somebody to grab this. Now imagine if the person that's supposed to grab this, because they've been called, they don't even know that the race has started. It's already going. I've been asked by I will call a devout Christian, right? Told me, why do I feel like I'm at war? The war is over. Why do you think that you still got to fight? Because they misinterpret what the word was saying. The fight is always the fight. There's a fight going on, a spiritual fight, a spiritual battle is going on right now. Like right now, as I speak, they're going on right now. They don't want me to give this to you. So it's happening and I don't know. So I have an angel on my side and it's going down right now. But guess how I'm helping the situation? Because I'm giving the message. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The fight. Now, the thing is, this is what God say. Because he's a person that lives in the future and the present and the past all at the same time. Because he's God. He's omnipresent. So yes, he's going to tell you the victory is already there. I've already been to the future. And I have never lost. Flawless victory. So I know if you on my team, you're going to win. But we still have to play the game. Tom Brady ain't coming there and said, look, man, take all your cleats and your pads off and stuff like that because you with me and we're going to win. So we don't even have to play the game. They're going to let it run. And at the end of this game right here, they're just going to give it to us because they knew we were going to win. No. No. That's not how that goes. We have to fight. And see, honestly, truthfully, the only reason why he basically severed my relationship because I'm not strong enough to pick the plan over my significant other. Right then and there, I have become a weak man. Yeah, let that sit. Because if I can use the same mentality, that's why Paul said, I wish that you were like me, with no woman. That way you can give your whole mind, body, and soul to God. Because when you have a significant other, you tend to lust for the things of this world to please that mate. She's pulling while God pushing. It's very important that your significant other believes that you have been picked for the plan. When you detect that they don't believe in that, you got to push forward. You got to act like if they just not there. One thing I learned about people, and it's crazy because I'm getting ready to give a lesson to something I haven't used. I've used it before. It's just that I wasn't that much in love with, I guess. Or I was young and agile and on it, you know. But I couldn't. I didn't pick her. I didn't pick the plan. And I wasn't strong enough to pick the plan. And what does that look like? Because see, Satan is going to make you feel like that you should stay in, or every time you leave the door, leave out the house, they're just going to make everything so hard and so depressing to the point that you just stay in because you don't even want to go through all of that. But if you stay in, then you're not completing the plan. You're not moving forward. And that's not what God wants us to be. Amen.